High vibrational state, what is it and why is it so extremely important? Well, we're going to talk about it. Okay, so what is it? Well, basically, it's a process to remove all of your fear and anxiety and hatred and prejudice from your body and replace it with love and compassion, understanding, and even inner peace. Now, people always gloss over this term like inner peace, like, I don't know, what's that? Just some weird religious nonsense that doesn't mean anything. It's just some word people throw out there. But the thing is that there's probably only a handful of people in the entire world that have ever known inner peace for even a split second, or could even comprehend what that actually means. Complete opposite of anything you've ever experienced in your entire life. Because you probably spent your life at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So why would you want to achieve inner peace? Well, think about this. Your entire life revolves around human interactions. Like you go to the store, you gotta talk to people. You get a job, you gotta talk to people. You want a job, then you gotta talk to people. You want to hang out with people. You want to be in a relationship. You want to have a family. You're dealing with the family that you're born with. Everywhere you go, everything you do, it revolves around people. And if you can't deal with people, then you're going to have a hard time. So first of all, let's say that you want a job. Everybody needs a job and they have to make money. So in order to get a job, the resume is just nonsense. It's things to point out and pretend like there's a reason to get rid of you. Oh, you got a D in like a high school math class. I'm sorry, we can't hire you. Good luck out there, buddy. No, this is nonsense. The resume is a complete joke. You know what gets you a job? These people have to spend, like 40 hours a week hanging out with you, and the only thing on their mind is that they don't want to hang out with somebody that makes them uncomfortable or seems like aggravated or angry or like is going to throw a fit and like maybe attack somebody. They don't want to hire somebody that they don't want to hang out with. So they want to hire somebody that's like a friend that's fun to hang out with. They want to fill the office with people that they can stand to be around. And so if you're in this angry mental state, who's going to hire you? Who's going to want to hang out with that? Who's going to say, oh yeah, hire this guy. He's going to make our job a total nightmare to have to be with this guy all day long. Can we get his application to the top of the list? No, nobody's going to hire that, right? See the obstacles you're putting in your way before you even walk in the office. The second they see your eyes and all that energy is transmitted to them, and you think it's not all over your face, but people are masters of reading like visual cues and like your stance and the way you breathe and the way you talk and your voice tones and the way that your face looks and stuff like that. Subconscious cues, that's nonverbal communication, that's telling them, whoa, we need to get rid of this guy fast. Oh, you didn't fill out your application correctly. Sorry, bro. Sorry. And it's like, how do you even get to the job interview when you're like, I don't know why I should even go. They're not going to hire me. Second they look at me, they're going to just, I don't know, for some reason they'll just hate me. And that'll be the end of it. I'm not getting a job here, blah, blah, blah. You talk yourself out of it, and that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's say relationships, you want to go out and meet someone to have a relationship with, and the second you look at them, and maybe they're looking at you, and they're kind of looking at you and giving you the eye and stuff, and they're giving you cues that they're interested in meeting you, and maybe they're self-conscious and they're trying to meet somebody too, But here's the thing, you're in your head, you're going, oh, they're looking at me because they think I'm a jerk and they hate me. And then guess what? You're not dating anybody. That's over. That's not going to happen, right? Let's say friends or, family members that you have relationships with, who's going to want to hang out with somebody that's always depressed and angry all the time and bitter and like, oh, everything's a total nightmare, and like, oh, all my problems are because of this group and that group, and women are my problem, and that, like, all these other people are my problem. Like, like, your phone's not gonna ring. Nobody's gonna want to hang out with this depressed, angry, bitter person. Also, when you're all messed up inside with all this anger and these grudges and all these problems that have happened to you throughout your life, and sure, you have plenty of good reason to be angry. You're not hurting and getting revenge on all the people that like wronged you by sitting around and just being bitter your entire life. You're not actually hurting them. You know who you're hurting? You're hurting you. Who's the person walking around being bitter all the time while they're off in Hawaii, like laughing it up, being like, oh, I'm having a wonderful life, while you're sitting here sulking away your entire lifetime? That's not actually getting revenge on anybody. You're just beating yourself down. You're just beating yourself up. You're not ruining anybody else's life. It doesn't make any sense. You're not accomplishing anything. Also, all this negativity that your conscious is thinking about, oh, I hate this and I hate that and I hate all these people and blah blah blah. Like, you're actually just programming your subconscious, which is just like a giant supercomputer with no will of its own. And you're sitting there and you're just programming those horrible thoughts in there, programming them. And then, like, that's going to all reflect back to you when you're going to go to a job interview or something, and then you get freaked out. You want to meet somebody, like, but you get intimidated. It's because you programmed your supercomputer, and now it's lashing out at you with all that horrible stuff that you put into it. Now, a lot of people do this, and I've been the king of doing this. Like I said, I'm a mess. I've had lots of problems, right? And that's why thinking about this stuff is so important, and trying to do these things is important. Like, self-sabotage. Let's talk about that. Like, I've spent, like, 8 years trying to do something and learning all about it and becoming the master of this one thing, and with this business goal in mind, like, I'm gonna do what I want with my life for a living, and that's gonna be the dream come true, right? And then I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna have fun, and I'm gonna have a house and a car and a retirement and all these things, and I'll spend like 5 to 8 years on something, and then I'll take that project and that business out, and now, oh crap, I've got to deal with people, and it all comes crashing down, and I just say, this will never work because I have to deal with people. I just forget it. And then it's like, I just wasted 8 years of my life on something that the second I realized that I can't accomplish this without dealing with people, because business is dealing with people, it's a nightmare, and self-sabotage. Something else that's important and that's really interesting is if you go out into the world and you wake up and you kind of like, you start having a bad day, and then you start getting into a bad mood, go home, go to bed, start over tomorrow. Do not go out into the world like that, because it'll just keep getting worse and worse, like when you're having a day like that. And also, like, you can walk into somewhere and like just bump into some other angry person, and then now you got to fight that person. They're going to attack you, or they're going to scream at you or say horrible things, and it's because you went out into the world with all this anger inside of you, and you ran into other people that are full of anger, and you made eye contact or something, and now it's on, the fists are flying, right? And it's just a big mistake, because both of you left the house with all this anger in your heart, and it reflected, and everybody could see it, and they're like a mirror reflecting it back to you. And everywhere you go, people are like, I don't know why, I don't like that dude, I don't like him, and then after a while they say, hey, get the heck out of my store. And you actually didn't do anything, but you kind of did. You came into the store and you were filled with rage and anger and all these bitter thoughts, and people could just see it, and they could feel it. They could feel that energy, and they just want you to get away from them, and they don't know why. Okay, now I'll give you the New Age spiritualist kind of point of view on this real quick of why this is important and why it's part of like their spiritual practices. But you don't have to be New Age or anything or even believe in religion at all to use this and better your life. Now, from a New Age kind of spiritual aspect, like imagine like your spirit is always at all times in the afterlife, and your body is always at all times in the physical realm. Now, when you choose as a person to dwell on anger and fear and things like that, your spirit like attracts like. Your spirit drops down to like a dimension of pain and torment and, you know, like HE double hockey sticks dimension, right? And so you're still right here physically, but your spirit is down here. It gets surrounded by like, you know, demons and spirits, evil spirits and things like that, and like all the evils of the world, and they feed off of your pain, like, you know, like a psychic leech or psychic vampire. They feed off of all your pain and fear and everything, and then they're going to influence you to make mistakes and to be angry and do all kinds of bad things and to get in fights and arguments with people and self-sabotage yourself so that they can keep dragging you down to the pits of heck, and they can keep feeding on you, right? And you'll have all kinds of bad luck. You'll go out and you'll crash your car. You'll get in a fight with somebody. You'll lose your job. You know, everything in your life will go wrong. That's why for New Age spiritualists, this is not our goal, to be in this nightmare. That's not where we want to be, right? We raise our vibrational state. So when you concentrate on love and peace and happiness, like attracts like again, you raise yourself up on the spiritual level in the spiritual world to an area that you could call like heaven, right? You know, where you surround yourself, you're able to communicate with God and he's able to communicate back to you. That's a whole nother video of like how all that happens, which I'll put out at some point. But, and then like, you know, spirits and like all your relatives and your guardian angels and your higher self and, you know, all the good spirits are attracted to you, and they want to see you have success and happiness and protect you, and not for you not to get in car wrecks or have horrible things happen to you. And they'll do everything they can to protect you and make your life better so that they can absorb all that happiness and proliferate it. Now, there's a certain type of post-traumatic stress disorder that is, you know, I don't know how it relates to like what people go through with war. I don't know anything about that. That's a whole different brand of like, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder, I imagine. But there is a type that you can go through that has to do with having a really, really bad childhood can cause you to have post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't believe, I was like, well, I didn't go to war, so I can't have that, right? And for example, like, basically it amounts to like prolonged stress, right? If you have your adrenaline racing and you're in a state of panic all the time and it never lets up, eventually your body's just not going to be able to handle it anymore, and you're going to end up walking away from all that trauma with a prolonged trauma that's going to haunt you your entire life, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, like, think about this. I was watching Xena, Warrior Princess, you know, those were good shows back in the day, and like Gabrielle says, Xena, I don't understand how when people attack us, it's like you have this sixth sense and you know, and like you just instantly are like you're ready or something. And Xena says, I always expect somebody to attack me. That's post-traumatic stress disorder right there. It's like you're always on edge and ready for somebody to attack you at all times, and it never lets up. The adrenaline is at 100 and it never stops. Your anxiety is at 100 and it never stops. One day I told my boss about that, and I was telling him that when I walked through the grocery store, if there was anybody that was dangerous enough that they could punch me in the face and it could hurt me, that I was, constantly, just walking around a grocery store, in the corner of my eye, I was always watching those people, and I was always watching how much distance was between me and them, and if they were close enough to punch me. And I just had an assumption that anyone who could physically attack me just would for no apparent reason. I'm just walking through a grocery store, I expect to get punched in the face for no reason. That's not normal. That's really not normal. I don't know how many people are going through that, but that's how I lived my whole life, right? Just expecting to get punched in the face if I was within arm's distance of another person that could do that. And so I'd clench my jaw down so I wouldn't get my jaw broken, and I'd clench up my stomach so I wouldn't get the wind knocked out of me. Just assuming that somebody's gonna be shopping and they're just gonna be like, the heck with that dude, pow, and just smack me in the face for no reason and just like try to kill me or something. And I think in all these scenarios of like, how do I react when this happens? What am I going to do? How am I going to counter? Like, do I pick something off the shelf and whack them with it? Do I start punching? Do I punch them in the throat? I'm like constantly thinking of self-defense scenarios. Why, right? Why? And it's because of my childhood trauma, which went like this. My dad would come home from work, we'd hear the car pull in, and we didn't know which father we were going to end up with, Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. Like, was he going to come in and just be this goofy, laughing up kind of guy? Or was he going to come in and it was going to be like 12 hours of him screaming in my face, like this close to my face, with like the spit going on my face and his veins popping out and his fist balled up, just wanting an excuse to punch me in the face. Yeah, it's no wonder I messed up, right? I spent 18 years like that. I spent a whole childhood dealing with this crazy person, right? And, you could be sitting there 1 second, everybody's eating food at the dinner table, all of a sudden just explode into violence and rage. And nobody, you couldn't ever, when you're sleeping, your adrenaline's at 1,000. When, if you can even sleep, when you're just sitting there watching TV with him, he's in the room or in the house, your adrenaline's at 1,000. You don't know what second this time bomb is going to explode. Okay, so let me talk about the results that you could expect, and then I will actually tell you and show you how to attain a high vibrational state. Okay, first of all, one of the things that you'll notice is you'll start looking at people as just a person. You're going to stop classifying people as like, oh, that's a man, that's a gay person, that's a straight person, that's black person, white person, Hispanic person, Muslim person, Jewish person, Hindu person. You're going to stop putting these modifiers onto people and prejudging them before you even talk to them. You're going to start seeing that everyone you see is just a person, and you can walk up to any person and you can start talking to them from that point of view, like they're just a human being. And honestly, people are taken off guard by it because they don't expect anyone to come up and start talking to them like they're just a human being and that they're worth talking to. Also, being able to enjoy people for the first time in your life, maybe, if you're like me, and feeling like not having to say, oh, that guy's my boss, so he's an idiot, I don't like him, and like, oh, those are just people, they're not like friends, they're people I work with, and like stop like putting people into little boxes and making excuses why you cannot like them. Start, go to work and like say, you know what, like, I like to come to work and hang out with my work friends and get to see my work friends and enjoy being with them, and that is socializing. And maybe it's not the socializing you go out and find people that are your perfect buddies or something, but you can go to work and socialize and enjoy work and enjoy people, and even like be in a traffic jam and look out the window and turn on the radio and have a cup of coffee while you're stuck in a traffic jam and enjoy being in a traffic jam. Wherever you go, there you are, you know what I mean? What difference does it make if you're at work enjoying yourself, or you're at home enjoying yourself, or you're on vacation enjoying yourself? You can enjoy life from anywhere. Also, people, when you go in with a positive attitude and you connect with somebody, they'll want to hire you and they'll want to help you out, and people want to be your friends. When you come along, the birds are going crazy. You come along and you just have an inner peace, and you have this weird attentiveness where you actually are interested in talking to people and learning about people and their life and their problems and what they're doing in life to survive and make money, and listening, truly looking at them and listening and trying to find out if there's any kind of knowledge that you can learn about this person, or even just enjoying talking to them or hearing them talk and listening to them. And also just being able to go outside and like maybe just have a coffee and just walk outside and look at nature and look at the sky and the birds and the animals and the trees and the clouds, and just take a deep breath and just relax and say, you know what, everything is okay, everything is just fine. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing for me to be worried about. Okay, so let me show you how to go through the process of attaining a high vibrational state. Okay, so the first step is just being willing or interested in trying to have a high vibrational state and just seeing what happens. Okay, so sage is also part of this, and just visualize it as like a mental tool to help you cleanse yourself of all your stress and anxiety. There's something so relaxing about the smell of this, and just deep breathing a little bit of the fumes in from it and breathing them out, and just saturating all of your skin and your entire body with the sage smoke, that somehow like makes this process so much easier. To start this process, you're gonna light the sage and then like blow it out and like keep it like smoking and kind of smoldering, and the sage smoke's gonna start coming up. And one of the things you can do, I wouldn't sit there and put it right up by your face, but you can kind of take a deep breath, which this deep breathing is definitely an important part of it, where you take a deep breath all the way in as much as you can, and then you're going to hold it, and you're just going to wait for that cue inside of you where your brain tells you you need to breathe at this point. And that might be like 30 seconds or 60 seconds, depending on how much stress you have in you right now. And then blow all the way out. Breathe all the way in and blow all the way out. Oh, it's so de-stressing. Detoxing and like gets rid of all the stress in your body. So, breathing techniques are part of it as well. And then you're going to take the sage smoke and you're going to kind of lean over and let it just saturate your head and like your arms and all of your body. And, I'll even take it like and put it up under my shirt like that. And because I have so much stress right here and anxiety, like where I hold it right there, I'll just make sure that this area gets totally saturated with this smoke. And then after that, kind of like wave it around your hands and just your body and make sure that you're just getting saturated with this smoke. Now, when you breathe that smoke in, like just very little of it, and you're breathing it out, like picture yourself breathing in all this the sage into you, and it's filling up your lungs, and it's getting into your veins and your body and going everywhere. And then you're blowing out all of your stress and anxiety, and you're feeling all that dark energy leave your body. Now, as a spiritualist, we kind of like believe there's also New Age spiritualists believe that there's like this spiritual aspect too. And like you can actually, from that perspective, if you want to do that, like you can actually kind of like grab the dark energy and like pull it away from your body and release it and shake it off and get it away from you, and know that, visualize this destroying all that bad energy and that anxiety, and making it want to detach from you and leave you. Now, the second step is to face all of your inner demons inside head on and analyze them and then understand them, and then you can release them from your body. So you kind of have to like address every single trauma in your life and people that you're having problems with, or as a whole even, to release all of these problems. It's something about psychology is where once you understand something that subconsciously keeps like coming out in your life and you don't understand it, but once you do understand it, suddenly it doesn't have any power over you anymore. There's bees in here. A bee just came in. Anyways, I don't mind bees. I'm not worried about it. But suddenly it just doesn't have a hold on you anymore, and it doesn't affect your life anymore, and you can just release it. So for me, one of my huge traumas in life, of course, was my dad. He was a horrible person. Let's just say I don't ever have to forgive him or like him or want anything to do with him. He's toxic, and I'm not going to go out and fix him. He doesn't want to be fixed. So, I'm not going to go out and like seek out him and anything like that. It has nothing to do with him. But I can understand the problems that were going on within him and understand him. And then I can release the trauma, and it doesn't have to keep affecting me throughout my whole life. Like, for instance, like, he was basically someone who would, he was taught as a child by abusive parents to be negative and abusive. And he grew up and he became somebody that was negative and abusive. And he sat around and worried about money and stress and anxiety and work and bills and all the stress they had on him. And the only way that he was taught to release all of these problems or deal with them is by coming home and blowing up on the family, because that's what he was taught. And, so I have to understand, first of all, that, he didn't have the tools to understand that he didn't need to be like that anymore, like we're doing right now. He didn't know about high vibrational state. He could never release all this anger inside of him. And he would never want to in the first place. And he was taught this by his parents. And so people, I took this class in college, and the teacher said that you need to look at people and understand that they are just people doing the best that they possibly can in the circumstance that they're in, but they don't have the answers. They don't know what to do. And that's the problem with people, right? So when I look at my dad, I just have to understand that he was a person who didn't know any better. That's all there is to it. He just came home and blew up, and he didn't even understand like why he was even doing it. It was just this subconscious thing that kept playing out that he had been taught from his childhood. And once you kind of like see that, you can just kind of go, you know what? I can just release that. I don't need to be angry at this person or hold a grudge my entire life. Just be done with it. Also, another thing is, and this sounds weird, I've said it in another video, but you have to forgive yourself, for being a victim. And what that means is this, and it sounds crazy, right? But here's the thing is, I have to see that in my instance, I was just a child and it wasn't my fault. And I didn't actually do anything wrong for him to be angry at me. And I was just too young to understand what to do in that circumstance. I didn't know how to defend myself. I couldn't go anywhere. Where am I going to go? I'm stuck living with this person. There was nobody to talk to that was going to intervene and stop this person from acting like this. So there was nothing that I could do, and I didn't have the tools at the time to understand how to talk to this person and de-escalate them and tell them that they don't need to keep having these anger issues and that nobody did anything wrong. And not that he would have listened anyways. He wouldn't have wanted to change. So I have to forgive myself for not standing up for myself or knowing how to. And I need to see that small child and understand that there was nothing I could do. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't need to be upset because I wasn't able to fend off this horrible person. And now let's talk about, okay, you had a bad childhood and then you had trouble with relating to your peers in school and you had problems with them and you had fights with them and you had all kinds of screaming and yelling with them. And then you got into high school and you had problems with women and they had problems with you. And it's just a trauma reoccurring and reoccurring and reoccurring. You can't deal with people and you can't relate to them because you've had so much trauma and you can't have any kind of relationship with anyone. And so let's analyze all that real deeply and look at it for what it is. On one hand, you came into the picture and you were a total wreck. You were a mess and you brought problems to the picture by being in that state. And they brought their own problems from their own households and having their own problems with their parents. And when the two of you end up in school together or wherever and you can't get along, it's really not all them. It's both of you. You're both messed up. And you just came together. You're stuck together in school all day. You're gonna fight and you're gonna have problems and people are gonna do horrible things to you and you're gonna be mad at them and maybe do horrible things. I don't know, whatever happened. And you've got to realize that you were both messed up. And now you can view that it's really a huge misunderstanding and you didn't know how to do anything else, So now you can release that. You don't have to be mad at these people. They didn't understand where you were coming from and you didn't understand where they were coming from, and you can throw it out and move past it. Take all these grudges and just feel them slide off your shoulders and throw them away. Throw them in the garbage and say, I don't need this anymore. You need to see all the self-hatred and self-blaming that caused. And now that you understand that there was nothing wrong with you in the first place, right? There's nothing wrong with you now, right? Now you can release it. Just forget it. Now, another thing you really need to think about is this. It's okay to have made mistakes, and it's okay to make more mistakes. That's just life. We were sent here to do that. It's fine. And just listen to me. It's completely fine. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. It doesn't matter if you made mistakes. It doesn't matter if you make more mistakes. It's fine, right? Also, another thing is you don't have to be perfect. You don't. Nobody's perfect. That's not life. That's not realistic. We're just here doing the best that we can with our situation, and we don't always have the answers, and we make mistakes, and we try to realize what went wrong, and we try to move forwards and make less mistakes and be a better person. And That's all you have to do. You don't have to be worried about not being perfect or all the problems that you've had. Just release it. Just analyze it, understand it, and throw it away. Another thing that will happen when you have a high vibrational state is that you'll look at people and you'll be able to see that, everybody's flawed and everybody has problems and everybody has things you don't like about them and everybody has toxic things about them. And like most people, you'll be able to like push all of those bad things about them away and just ignore them and see the person inside that is a decent person that's struggling and they're flawed and they're not perfect and they're just like everybody else, and just be able to see that inner person that is worth dealing with. And the people that are really truly toxic, you have to push them out of your life. Otherwise you're never going to maintain this high vibrational state. You got to get rid of them. Now, once you've gone through this process and you've analyzed and looked at and faced all of your traumas and you've released them, and you don't have to think about every single person you ever had a problem with. Just understand that all these problems in general were just a big mistake and misunderstanding, and people that don't know any better, and they're out there making mistakes, and it's no big deal. And especially forgive yourself and release all your self-hatred and all of your inner shame about not being able to defend yourself or letting people trample over you and all these grudges. Get rid of all that stuff. Just throw it in the garbage. It's not hurting anyone except for you. Just throw it away. So once you've gone through this process, then you have this inner peace inside of you, and aka the high vibrational state or whatever you want to call it, and you can really maintain that state of being and stay in that state of being the rest of your life. Sometimes things will happen and you'll get down, and then you'll remember you need to kind of renew that kind of feeling and get back to there and stop being upset with life and things. So it's not 100% always, but in general you can just stay in a different state of mind the rest of your life. And if you're going to have to deal with life, you better deal with it from that point of view, where you're able to deal with people and life and things like that, or life is going to be hard, right? It's going to be really hard. So anyways, if for some reason you actually made it through the entire video, sorry they get so long, but I feel like that's the only way to put it out there. Then go ahead and push the like button if you thought it was worth watching. I appreciate that, and have a good day.